It's Story Chime. Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Story Chime. I'm your host, Chime Bear. Come on into the Chime Cave. Sit yourself down and relax. These stories are guaranteed to help you relax and to think, and you may learn something. And also, you get to help participate in the stories by filling in the blanks. If you like these kind of stories, feel free to hit the subscribe button wherever you subscribe to a podcast. And if you have a comment section below, feel free to leave comments. I always look forward to hearing from you. Today's story is titled Adam Up and Eve In. Oh, hey, Enoch. What are you doing up? Couldn't sleep, huh? Yeah, I'm just sitting out here, just looking at the stars, remembering. Yeah, I was just remembering my presence with the Lord before all this. I've told you that story 1,000 times. You want to hear it again, huh? Well, I don't see why not. I can't sleep either. Why don't you come over here? Sit on the ground right next to me. I'll tell you how it all began. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was empty, dark. And God's Spirit hovered over all of it. And God said,
"Let there be light."
And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and morning of the first day. Let us make space between the waters, separating water from water. And that's what happened. God called the space between the waters sky. And evening passed and morning came, and there was the second day. Let us gather the waters under the sky into one place, so dry ground will appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Let the land burst forth with every sort of seed-bearing plant of every kind. Let the trees produce seed-bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce plants and trees from which they came from. Let bright lights appear on the earth to separate the day from the night. These lights will mark days, seasons, and years. Let the lights shine down on the earth. And that's what happened. God made two great big lights. He made the sun, which is what you see during the day, and the moon at night, which is what you see up here. And he also made all of these stars. These lights, the sun and the moon, are to govern the day and the night. And God saw that it was good. And that was the fourth day of creation.
Let the waters be filled with every sea creature of its kind. Let the skies be filled with birds of every kind. Let the fish multiply and fill the oceans. Let the birds increase and fill the earth.
And so God created all of the sea creatures and fish, and he also created the birds of the air, and he blessed them. And that was on the fifth day.
Let the earth bring forth animals of every kind, wildlife, livestock, and small animals. Let us make people in our image. They will be like us. They will rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the wild animals, the livestock, and all the small animals that move along the ground.
And so, God made me out of the dust of the earth. He breathed into me the breath of life.
Birthday!
You see that flaming sword over there? Yeah. That was the garden God planted in the east for me. He put me there and told me to take care of it. But he gave me this warning.
You may eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat of it, you will surely die. It is not good for the man to be alone. I will find a suitable helper for him.
And so God brought to me all the creatures that he'd made out of the soil for me to name them. And whatever I gave its name, that's what it was. But I couldn't find a suitable helper for me. So God caused me to fall into a very deep sleep. And while I slept, God took a rib out of my side and closed up the place with flesh. And God formed the woman out of that rib. At last, she is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. I shall call her woman, for she has come out of a man.
Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, and take care of it. I have given you seed-bearing plants and all the fruit trees for food. I have given the other grasses and plants to the creatures of the earth.
And after God did all that, that was on the sixth day. On the seventh day, God rested, and he declared that day holy, because he rested, and after all that work of creating, I'd be tired too.
Man, that's how it all began. What do I mean by before all this? You know what, son? I'm getting tired. It's a very sad story. And I really don't want to talk about it tonight. I'll tell you what. Maybe tomorrow, after I finish plowing, I'll tell you the rest. But I will warn you, it is a very sad story. Yeah. I'm over here. On the edge of the forest there. I'm just sitting here relaxing after a hard day's work. What brings you out this way? Oh, you're right. I did promise you last night I'd tell you the rest. Well, I don't know if you'd want to hear it, Enoch, because it's a very sad story. It's how I ended up being out of God's presence. Okay, I'll tell it. But just be warned, it's a very sad story. One day, the woman and I were just wandering around the garden, enjoying everything that God had put in the garden. Just enjoying everything and each other. And we came across a serpent, which is a snake. And the serpent is a very crafty animal.
Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?
We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die.
You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
When Eve saw the fruit, she wanted to be like God and know good from evil. She desired it and ate some. And she gave some to me. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. I ate it. When we did that, our eyes were opened. And we realized we were naked. So we sewed some fig leaves together to cover ourselves. And then we heard God walking in the garden, and we hid.
Adam! Adam! Where are you?
I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid.
Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?
The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it.
What is this you have done?
The serpent, he tricked me.
Because you have done this, You are cursed above all the livestock and all the wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. You and the woman will be enemies, and her offspring and your offspring will also be enemies. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Woman, I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you.
Adam, because you listened to your wife and eat from a tree about which I commanded you not to eat from, the ground will be cursed because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since you came from there. For dust you are, and to dust you will return.
That's when I gave Eve her name, because she would be the mother of all living people. And God sewed together some clothing for us made out of animal skins.
The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat it and live forever.
Then God drove us out of a garden. That's why we can't go back over there. Yes, I told you it was a sad story. Yes, that is why my first two sons, Cain and Abel, you've heard that story. Well, I'll see if I can sum it up for you because we need to get going inside. Abel was Cain, that was my firstborn. And he was a farmer. But he had a chip on his shoulder. And then Abel, my secondborn, was a shepherd. Yeah, I told him about the presence of the Lord. And he wanted to follow. He listened to what I said and took it to heart. Well, one day, Cain and Abel had to present their offerings to the Lord, to God. And God took Abel's offering first. He accepted Abel's but not Cain's. Because Abel gave him the first fruits of his flocks. Cain just gave him whatever he could grab, some vegetables. Because God accepted Abel's offering and not Cain's, Cain became very angry. And God told him to master his anger, or else it would get the best of him. He didn't. He took Abel to a field and killed him. Because he did that, God banished Cain from his presence. He had to wander the earth. He was given a mark for protection. Yes, that's when God gave us your Uncle Seth. Oh, if only I wish I hadn't done that. But I can pass on my experiences to you, my son, and hope that you'll take them to heart. Well, let's get going inside. It's getting too hot out here anyway.
Today's story was based on the first 4 chapters in the book of Genesis from the Holy Bible.
I hope you enjoyed this edition of It's Story Chime. Feel free to check out the other stories that are in the podcast. And if you like these type of stories, please subscribe to the podcast and don't be afraid to leave comments and story suggestions. I'm always open to new suggestions. And you can find my podcast almost anywhere any podcast can be found. I would like to thank Xander Foof for providing the background music that you're hearing. So, come back again next Chime. I hope you enjoyed this edition of It's Story Chime.
Good night.